Hi students. In this video, we're going to finally put all four parameters together: pressure, volume, moles, and temperature of gases to derive the ideal gas law equation. This is really my favorite part of this chapter because we get to see how one equation can actually work backwards to derive the rest. So, we first learned about Boyle's law, and Boyle's law essentially was P1V1 equals P2V2. So a change in pressure will affect the volume inversely at constant temperature and moles. We then learned about Charles' law. In Charles' law, we saw that volume and temperature are directly proportional with pressure and moles. And we put these two together and made the combined gas law P1V1 over T1 equals P2V2 over T2. So that was three of the four parameters: pressure, volume, and temperature. So we needed one more. And that's where Avogadro's law came in. Avogadro's law put in the concept of moles and molar volume at constant pressure and temperature. So we were able to see that volume was directly proportional to moles. And now with the addition of Avogadro's law, we can incorporate that mole into the combined gas law, and we get it all together with all four parameters. So we can see that this ratio of pressure and volume divided by moles per temperature should equal that same ratio if we were to change conditions. So the reason why I like this expression is if I know that temperature and moles are constant, this denominator would cancel out and I'd be left with Boyle's. As well, if I'm looking at pressure and moles being constant, then I could easily derive, if my pressure and moles are constant, these would cancel out and I could derive Charles' law. But what's most important is now that I know that this ratio is always equal to itself, I know that it's equal to some constant, and that's the constant in the ideal gas law, which is referred to as R, which is our ideal gas law constant. And they rearrange in terms of PV equals nRT by multiplying both sides by the NT. So if you remember Pivnert, and you just remember Pivnert, you can always derive from Pivnert PV divided by NT equals R, and it always is PV over NT, and go back to all of these equations. That's why I love the ideal gas law. It's basic algebraic manipulation. So, what can we do to figure out what this constant is? Well, we learned at STP, which is standard temperature and pressure, which is 273 Kelvin degrees and a pressure of 1 atmosphere, that molar volume is 1 mole, remember this, right, is 22.4 liters at STP. So now we can use all of these measurements for all four parameters, plug them in, and solve for R. And when we do, we get this ratio, we get this constant, 0.0821 liter atmospheres per mole Kelvin. So now, instead of those other formulas where we might have two parameters that we're changing, so in Boyle's law, we would change pressure from initial conditions, and then our volume would result in a change. So that was an example of a change in conditions where you had initial and final. With the ideal gas law and using the constant, we don't have to have a change in conditions. We just need 3 out of the 4 parameters to determine the fourth. So we have to realize that this is referred to the ideal gas law equation because it's assuming that gases are behaving ideally. And for the majority of time they are, and to be perfectly honest, it gets incredibly close in pretty much all situations. So to be an ideal gas, the volume of gas particles must be small relative to the space between them. We learned that in kinetic molecular theory, that was one of the reasons why gases are compressible. The forces between the gas particles are not significant. We also learned that in kinetic molecular theory, that the gases collided with themselves and the walls of the container in what's referred to as elastic collisions, where there is no loss of energy. So, when do gases behave non-ideally? Under extreme conditions such as low temperature and high pressure. When we have really low temperatures, the gas particles are moving so slowly, they begin to stick. Under high pressures, what tends to happen is the gas particles are so close to each other, now their relative size is a little more significant than it was before when the majority of space is open space. But again, we in this class are not going to focus on non-ideal conditions. We're primarily focusing on the ideal gas law conditions. So this gives an example. Again, low temperatures, these are going to start sticking together. At higher pressures, their volumes are a little more significant and not negligible. So can we calculate gas law problems using Pivner? So calculate the volume. So I'm looking for volume. Occupied at 0.845 moles, I have N. At 1.37 atmosphere, I have pressure. And a temperature, again, it has to be in Kelvin. If it's not, change it, of 315 Kelvin. So, unlike all the other laws, Boyle's, Charles, combined gas law, Avogadro's, we had a set of initial conditions and then a change in conditions. That's not the case here. Here, we have 3 of the 4 parameters. There is no change in conditions. So how will we find the 4th parameter? We will take advantage of the ideal gas law constant. So we set up our equation, PV equals nRT, and plug in the values. So we can easily solve for volume algebraically by dividing both sides by P, and we get volume equals nRT divided by P, where we can then plug in each value to get our final answer of volume of 16 liters. And we see from the ideal gas law constant, the units of moles cancel, Kelvin, and atmosphere, and I'm left with units of liter. Now, when I'm using the ideal gas law equation, and I'm using this constant, I have to make sure, unlike Boyle's law, that the units are atmosphere and not millimeters of mercury. So we did not have to do that in Boyle's law. Here we do because of the constant. So you just have to remember that 1 atmosphere is 760 either torr or millimeters of mercury. If you're given milliliters, you would have to convert it to liters. That's easy, the metric system. If you were given degrees Celsius, you would have to change that to Kelvin by adding 273.15 to it. And that's pretty much it. If you were given grams, you can change that to moles. How? Molar mass. So let's apply this again. A cylinder contains 5 liters, liters. That essentially is volume of O2 at 20 degrees Celsius. Here's my temperature. And 0.85 atmosphere. There's my pressure. How many grams of oxygen do I need? Okay, I have 3 of the 4 parameters, pressure, volume, and temperature, but I want grams. What I can do is I can solve for moles and go to grams using molar mass. The reason why I can do that is they tell me that this is of oxygen gas. So PV equals nRT. I have my pressure, 0.85 atmospheres. I have my volume, 5.0 liters. I will solve for moles, and I'm going to use 0.0821 liter atmosphere mole Kelvin. And then for temperature, because these units are Kelvin, I have to add 273.15 to it. And I'll end up getting a 293.2 Kelvin. All my units are going to cancel. Atmospheres and liters will cancel here. And then Kelvin will cancel here. And when I divide by the right side of this equation, the moles will end up going on the numerator. And that's what I need for N. So when I divide, my N becomes 0.18 moles of O2. And I can easily convert, and let me just erase this and put N on this side. I can convert this to grams, which is what they're asking for, by saying in 1 mole of oxygen, and oxygen's a diatomic, there's 32 grams of oxygen. To give me a final answer of 5.8 grams of oxygen. So I hope this video helps you understand the usefulness of the ideal gas law equation and how with just 3 of the 4 parameters we can solve for the 4th by using the gas law constant, and to see how the ideal gas law constant and equation was derived from our earlier gas law calculations. Thanks so much, and thanks for your patience.